Anyways, I have a really, really beautiful conversation that I want to share with you today. I'm gonna light up my candle, get the energy flowing here today. Say hello when you're jumping on so I can see who's on. Um, I really am excited to talk about today's conversation because I feel that, you know, sometimes sometimes social media can be a blessing and sometimes social media can be a curse, as we all know, right? And a lot of times social media can be the champagne lifestyle of like, look how great my life is. And I'm really, really cognizant of not oversharing and over broadcasting, like, look how great my life is, even though I really feel so blessed in living such a beautiful life. I also recognize, though, that life has challenges, right? And relationships have challenges. And it's really important to be real and honest during those times as well, just as much as when the times are good. And I want to be a little bit honest and share about something that came through for me last week in my own relationship without going into all the details, really to help just kind of highlight how I was able to move through it in such a beautiful, healthy way. And also showcase to you that conflict doesn't have to be bad, right? And things don't have to be either make it or break it all the time. That relationships, although that they may have ebbs and flows and they may have conflicts and sweet spots, it still doesn't have to mean that relationships are hard, right? So even when I have conflict in my relationship, I use it and I see it as an opportunity for growth and for deepening into our intimacy. So I'm really excited to kind of actually share some of the stuff that doesn't necessarily get highlighted on my Instagram reel, but that is very real and that is actually continuing to help me deepen into my relationship. And hopefully for those of you who are in new relationships or maybe have been with your person for a little while and are hitting some snags, that you can really feel inspired to be able to move through it as well, because it is so incredibly important to embrace conflict, right? And I think that just to kind of dive right into it, conflict really gets a bad rap with any relationship, right? But we're going to specifically talk about between you and your partner and your relationship. Conflict can often feel like this place of coming and batting heads, right? And I want you to drop comments. I want you to be really engaging as we're doing this. I see a lot of people on right now. Say hello when you're jumping on. It's not showing me who's on live, so you're going to have to drop in the comments and say hi. It can really feel sometimes like coming into something that doesn't feel good, something that feels a little icky, as almost competing, right? The clashing viewpoints, clashing values, clashing ways that you want things done, right? And when we get into that place where it's everything's humming along, la la la, and then it's screeching halt, wait a second, something doesn't feel right. It could be as simple as you don't pick up after yourself enough and we're living together, you're not, doing the dishes enough, or it could be something bigger, like I'm really upset that you haven't, let me meet your family yet. And that's something that is a big value of mine is to be included in the family, right? It can be the whole spectrum of things of conflict. And conflict is it can be such a beautiful opportunity to deepen into our relationship when we know how to do it, right? And when we know how to feel equipped with the tools to be able to communicate in a way that creates safety. And that's really where I want to start this, right? Is that we as women have so much power that we don't even realize in the fact that we are usually much more comfortable in our heart space. And when I mean that, I mean we are much more familiar with our feelings. We usually feel a lot more safe to express our feelings. And we are naturally usually better communicators, right? With our girlfriends, with our mothers, communication is something that is just very free flowing. And so we as women really get to set the tone when we are coming into a place of conflict to make sure that we are showing up as that highest self to hold the space for conflict to be held in a safe space, right? Because if we are not actually being the vessel to hold the space for conflict, what can happen is that we can fall into just our little box of our little mind that says, I need it right my way. I need to tell him how I feel. I need to make him, change. And what that does is it doesn't actually create a larger container for the relationship to be held, right? So we as women get to be these beautiful vessels of holding space for men to feel safe. And if we are not doing that, that is the first part that we need to really step into, right? Because we cannot navigate through conflict if we're not actually taking it upon ourselves to hold the space for this to actually flow in a healthy and a safe way. And when I'm saying safe, I mean holding space for respecting the other person's opinions, right? Holding space to allow the other person to feel safe to express how they feel without being attacked or judged or criticized, right? Or attacked. I think I said attacked. Yeah. Without communicating on your end from a place that would make someone feel defensive, right? A lot of times, if you're not skilled in communicating in a way that makes people feel safe, it can very easily come off as attacking, and it come off in a way where the receiver just feels like they need to put their walls up and they need to be defensive and they need to say, whoa, like no. And that's when it becomes this fight, right? Where it gets nasty and it gets icky. And I'm just going to start right by saying that that's not how I navigate conflict. And so when I'm talking about the fact that, yeah, we had a little bit of a conflict, we had a little bit of a tension last week in our relationship, it never gets to that point of getting icky and nasty and fighting. When I get into a place of conflict in our relationship, it really just feels like literally everything's just like la 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 la, just easy flowing, and then it's like, ooh, something feels kind of tense, right? It just feels a little bit like off. It just feels a little bit like disconnected. Literally, it's like we're like flowing together, and then we just kind of go like this. We're like, wait a second, we're not on the same page here. That's really the extent of what the conflict feels like. And in that moment, we both recognize, wait a second, something doesn't feel right, or one of us will recognize it. In this case, I recognized it. He wasn't really recognizing it. I was recognizing something didn't feel right. Something wasn't feeling like the normal that it has always been. The normal where he looks in my eyes and it's just like passion and just like, oh, come here, I just want to kiss you, right? It was like, wait a second, where did that go? Why is that? Let's really explore this, right? And so in this place is where we really get to, as women, first take it upon ourselves to understand how we're feeling and make sure that we know exactly what's going on within us before we have the conversation of the conflict. Because this is the caveat number 2, right? Is that we oftentimes as women will come into conflict in our emotions, and we just want to dump our emotions. We want to try and resolve it in the emotion, in the energy, in the feeling. And comment below if this is something you've experienced. It's very, very common and very normal because we're not taught how to navigate through conflict, right? And then we get into this muck of emotions and feelings, and we're just like, wait, this doesn't feel good. No, that's not what I meant to say. And wait, let's try this again. And then it gets into blow up messiness, and then it's just gone. It's just might as well just not have even started, right? And sometimes it can be worse. So we don't want to get into that space. So we as women need to be very, very cognizant of how we are holding our energy and how we're showing up as we step into this place of navigating through this conflict, right? And so in this case for me, I really was at a place where I had to just kind of sit with it. I had to really just kind of feel the uncomfortableness, feel the just like, this doesn't feel right. I'm feeling disconnected. Why am I feeling disconnected? And deepen into that deeper truth of what I was really needing and what I wasn't receiving. And also checking in with myself of, am I looking to him to fill a need that I need to fill myself? Or is this actually something that I need to bring up to him, right? Because that's number 3. Are we engaging in a conflict with our partner because we are hoping that our partner is going to fill something within ourselves that we need to fill in ourselves first? And this is really, really important, right? We have to take full responsibility for our happiness. And if we're not fully in our place of wholeness and completeness as a human outside of the relationship, then we are, in a sense, looking to that partner to fill a void within us, right? And a lot of conflicts come through because of the fact that we are trying to make our partner fit into a void within ourselves that we need to heal in ourselves first. Okay? So knowing this and recognizing this is like, okay, nope, this is not about me. This is actually something about the relationship. So now I get to bring it forth, and I get to bring it forth in a place of not being hysterical, not having a ton of resentment or anger because I'm catching it early, right? This has not been building and building and building that I haven't been saying anything. It's just a new thing that I'm noticing going, that doesn't feel right. And then it comes into a place of really stepping into that strong vulnerability and really going there in your heart, really going there into the place of connecting into the scary truths, right? And sharing and exposing your heart. And I want to pause for a second just to make sure that my sound is working, making sure that people are hearing me, because this is so good. Okay, good. Amanda's hearing me. Awesome. Beautiful. We need to get to a place where we can be feeling safe to really open up our heart and share our heart. And this is something I love talking about, right? Is that a lot of times when women talk about like, oh, I'm afraid to be vulnerable, it's because there's this idea that being vulnerable means going into your heart, ripping it out and giving it to this other person and saying, here's my heart, please don't break my heart. Please don't break my heart. I'm giving it to you and I'm really trusting you're going to hold it and be safe with it, right? That's not real vulnerability. That's really you kind of giving yourself away to somebody else and losing yourself in the process. Real vulnerability is holding your heart safe within yourself, knowing that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay. And about just allowing yourself to open your heart, sitting safely within the center of yourself, in the comfort and the security of who you are, and just allowing someone to see it and to feel it. And that is really a huge difference. And that's what allows men to then be able to actually feel you on a heart level and hear what's really coming through, right? Because if we're trying to navigate conflict from our heads, we come into it with the ego. We come into it trying to be right? We come into it trying to win. We come into it trying to prove ourselves. And that doesn't actually allow any room for the relationship to grow or to explore or get to evolve in this conflict, right? Because it's just about you trying to prove yourself to somebody else and make yourself right, which means making them wrong, which means making them, in a sense, your enemy and you being the victor. And in a partnership, this is not about someone being a winner and someone being a loser. It's about you guys being on the same team. Okay? And so when we come into this place of needing to talk through conflict, it's about saying, okay, I recognize that we are on the same team here. And as a teammate, something doesn't feel good. Something doesn't feel right. And I would love for me to be able to share why and how it doesn't feel good without making you wrong, right? And also hold space for you to share anything that you may be feeling that doesn't feel good either. And I'm open to receiving that. Right? I'm not here to just lash out everything onto you and you have to take it and you have to change. This is what happens a lot of times, right? That's why I'm articulating it. It's about recognizing, as much as I'm going to share how I feel, I'm also opening myself up to hearing what you have to share with me. And whoo, that's where it gets really scary, right? That's where a lot of people stop. That's where people say, nope, we're not going to actually have a real heart-to-heart conversation because I can't truly handle it. Isn't that the truth? How many of us are actually willing, when we go into a conversation, to also open up to the fact that we may not be perfect here? We're going to share why we don't feel they're perfect, and we're going to hope that together we can grow through this, and that you can grow into a place where I feel that we're back in alignment. But to really be able to open up yourself to the place of maybe I'm not perfect here either, that's really where it can feel really, really scary, because you're opening up your heart and you're also allowing it to receive constructive criticism, right? And this is where holding that safe, sacred space for this conversation is so incredibly crucial, right? And the reason that this is so crucial is because in this time when you are opening yourself up to share and you're also opening up yourself up to receive in contrast, both of you need to be anchored in so much respect and so much love and so much trust for each other, right? Knowing that the love that you have as partners, as teammates, is so much bigger than what this tiny little thing is. Whether it's about the dishes, whether it's about family, whether it's about starting a family, whether it's about the relationship timeline, whatever it is, right? Whatever that little thing is that is really triggering you and is that the source of conflict, it can't overshadow and overshine the fact that you guys at the end of the day love, respect, and trust each other, right? So when we set the foundation of that first, then it becomes so much more of, hey, as my teammate here on this journey of loving each other, right? What a cool journey, right? By the way, on this journey of loving and respecting each other, there's just something that feels a little weird. There's something that feels a little bit off. And here's what I'm experiencing, and here's what I'm noticing, right? I'm not making you wrong. I'm not attacking you. I'm not making this about you at all, actually. I'm making this about me. And I take full responsibility for how I may have been a part of that. And I'm willing to own up to that. Where are you at? How are you feeling? Let's explore this together. Let's deepen into this together. And let's figure out how together we can come up with a solution that works for both of us. That is the true power of navigating conflict and really moving through conflict in a way that actually deepens the relationship and creates intimacy and creates more bonds than when we are just trying to come at it from trying to be right or trying to prove ourselves or trying to get something, right? And this is why so many people struggle with conflict and struggle with relationships, is because they're not taught the tools of how to actually really engage and understand how to navigate through things when times get tough, right? When things get weird. And I will tell you, like, I am really proud to say that we were able to talk through this, right? It was a little uncomfortable. There was some tears shed. There was some awkward moments, but I've been through this enough times to know, like, it's all okay. This is part of it. This is part of the deepening. And I tell you, like, we were able to move through that. He was really able to hear what I was feeling, what I was experiencing. He was able to share where he was at and why it was happening the way it was happening. And we were able to get back in sync. And we were able to get back into a place of, let's really come up with a solution together that feels really good, right? And that comes to my next thing, is that being in relationships sometimes, it's not always going to be fully in sync. And sometimes we have to actually grow a little bit apart to be able to come back together and deepen a little bit more into the relationship. And I talk about this actually in my podcast in, I think it's the Spiritual and Evolved Partnership, right? I very much feel like I am modeling and learning and continuing to deepen into my own spiritual and evolved partnership with my partner, Spencer. And it is the most beautiful, fulfilling, rewarding experience that I've ever gone through. And that means that sometimes we have to grow apart in the relationship to be able to grow back together on a deeper level and continue to support each other. Because if you think about it, relationships are always growing. They're always changing, right? They're always evolving. If you are with a partner who is just doing the status quo every single day and is not changing or growing, that's what creates stagnation. That's what creates the boredom, right? The loss of passion, the just kind of like living the quote boring married life, right? I will tell you, I've been with my partner 8 years. It has never been the boring married life. It is always an opportunity of both of us going after our next challenges, going after our next growth moments, and coming back together to harmonize in that process so that we both up ourselves and up-level each other in the process. And that is the kind of relationship I'm advocating for every single one of you to have, because that's really where you never have to worry about it dying or dwindling or losing the passion, the excitement, the connection, because you're always evolving into the next version of who you are. And to me, like, that's what I want, and that's what I'm striving for, and that's what I really do see the future and all relationships to be. But it is so much the status quo of like, oh yeah, it's good in the honeymoon stage, and then it kind of gets settled and it gets kind of monotonous, and then married and it's a little high and it's exciting, and then it's just boring, and then you lose the passion and then you die, right? Like, no, that's not how I choose to live. And I actually had to fight for that a little bit. I had to really say, like, no, I refuse to let our relationship ever go that way. And that's why I'm bringing up my concerns, my feelings, because I never want that to ever happen. I never want us to feel at the point where we are so disconnected from each other that we can't get back to that place, that intimate, amazing honeymoon space, right? And literally just from having that conversation and for advocating for that, we were able to, boom, just link right back into it and just get right back into the flow of it. And it's like it never even happened. And that's the power of this, right? Is knowing and really honoring in yourself what it is that you need, communicating what you need in a healthy way, holding space for that to be able to be communicated, and allowing both of you to grow and grow apart and then grow together and grow apart and grow together, so that you're always bringing new freshness into the relationship. Oh, wow, I'm on a roll today. I'm going to take a pause and see if there's any comments, any things that are coming up as I'm talking. Definitely, please comment below what's resonating, what's hitting home for you right now. It's sounding like, okay, good, this is good. Feeling good about that. Amazing, amazing. No big comments, no big questions at the moment. I think I want to wrap up for today for the most part with this, but I just want to reassure each of you that although although it can be difficult, although it can be scary, it is the most rewarding experience to be able to get to this place where you feel so secure in who you are, you feel so secure in your relationship, and your partner feels so secure in who they are that nothing will shake you. Nothing will shake you. And that you can even laugh about it, a few days later and be like, wow, can you believe we went through that? That was rough. And still be right back in harmony and sync. And this is what I support and coach women through. I was just working through this with a woman the other day, and just seeing how much she was able to apply these principles that I teach and really have it actually shift the relationship. Because men are oftentimes, they're looking to us to guide this, right? They're looking to us to really be able to be that shepherd, to hold the space for this, because they're not taught how to do this either. And a lot of times they have their own conditioning about being men and shoving and repressing down their feelings, so they don't even feel safe to know how to express their feelings. So we as women really get to be this place to open up the space for this. And I want to just reiterate, for any of those of you who are really wanting to learn more about this and deepen into this, this is what we go deep into inside of my Relax into Love Master Course materials and inside of the Attraction Academy. And I am closing up doors the end of this week. And I am, like I said, I have spaces for only 5 lucky ladies. So if that is something that you really want to deepen into within yourself and really learn how to master this area of stepping into that divine feminine space within you, and also be able to hold safe space for your man to feel safe and really become a champion for navigating through good times and challenging times, and know that it won't break you, this is really your opportunity, your invitation. And this is where this Attraction Academy is where I take these 5 beautiful women. I run this every couple quarters through all of my Relax into Love course materials, and actually talk you through and coach you through personally how to actually move through these beautiful moments and these beautiful learning lessons and tools, so that you can really feel like you have a sturdy, steady, healthy foundation for a long-lasting relationship. Because without this, this is really what can be the make or break it, right? These conflicts, how you navigate conflict will say so much about the future health of your relationship. So if you are interested in learning more about that, I'm going to leave the link, and you can set up a time to chat with me personally and see if this is a good fit for you. But I hope that this video was helpful. Like I said, comment below and let me know what's really hit home for you and what you may need to start actually shifting within yourself to make sure you're setting yourself up for a healthy, long-lasting relationship. So as always, my loves, so good to connect, and we'll talk to you soon. Mwah.